All right. Hello. Welcome back. I'm here to do another crappy PowerPoint presentation. This time, a short review, or rather, a short history of the United States of America. I'm not going to go into depth too much on this. I'm just going to quickly establish some baseline things so I can um, talk more easily on future topics. So we've established a baseline of your information. Introduction: The United States of America, the United States is a nation with pretty profound history on the world stage. From humble beginnings to, I believe, a small British colony, to becoming the most powerful nation of today. The story of America is definitely an interesting one. So today I want to give you guys a brief history on the United States, beginning with what came before its founding, followed by a little bit of an overview of modern day America, and I want to highlight its social, economic, and political landscape. Again, all without going too far into depth on. So what came before the colonial era? Before the establishment of the United States, the land was inhabited by a variety of indigenous peoples that the Europeans started referring to as Indians. Um, and all of these Indians had their own distinct cultures, languages, and societies, most of which were very different from the European ones, which was quite a shock to the Europeans, obviously, when they arrived in the late 15th century. So the age of exploration and colonization. In the 15th and 16th centuries, the European countries started the exploration of the Americas, culminating in Christopher Columbus' 1492 voyage being the most famous. Not too long after, a bunch of European powers, think about countries like Spain, France, the Netherlands, England, they began to, establish a variety of colonies in the North American continent. The English were actually one of the first to establish a permanent colony called Jamestown. It was in Virginia, and this happened in 1607. So, about the next century and a half, 13 colonies were established in total all along the Atlantic coast. Now, all of these colonies had very different identities due to different geography, different people immigrating to them, obviously different challenges, different climates, and just different people going about doing things in a different way. And eventually, they all started to sort of become semi-autonomous under British rule. And they all had different experiences with, being under the British crown. So the colonial economy was pretty diverse, with the northern colonies focusing a bit more on trade and things like fishing and small scale farming, while the southern colonies were very heavily agriculture based. So think fishing, livestock, things like tobacco, rice, um, you know, basic things like this. The institution of slavery became deeply entrenched in the southern economy, and that's due to pretty much African slaves being imported in mass to sustain the production of all these various resources that the South was needing. And it's very hot in the South. Anyone who lives there can attest to this. Much hotter than in the North. So if you force people to work extremely hard all day in the blistering heat, some of them might die, which is what happened, or get malaria and die, which is what happened. So colonial society was marked by a growing sense of independence and a desire for self-governance. The Enlightenment ideas that blew over from France, the United States and France were big friends around this time, especially because the friend of my friend or the enemy of my friend is my friend. So France and the United States were very easily able to see eye to eye. And the Americans really like the idea of a republic, which is why the United States kind of looked like the European history of democracy and trying to figure out a way for them that would probably work and be a little bit more robust than the things they saw going on in Europe. Um, so the ideas that blew over from the French Revolution was pretty much what started the whole idea for um, United States, pretty much. So the road to independence, tensions between the colonies and the British government grew throughout the 18th century, particularly over issues like taxation and representation, but it was mainly taxation. Americans really didn't like it when they had to pay British taxes, although now they're okay with it, um, even though they're paying their own taxes. But to me, same shit, different day. The British imposed a series of taxes, particularly on paper, known as the Stamp Act and the Townshend Acts, which were met with resistance and protest from various colonies. The slogan "No taxation without representation" became a rallying cry for those who opposed British rule. The growing unrest culminated in the American Revolution, which began in 1775. Uh, the Declaration of Independence, adopted on July 4th, 1776, formally declared the colonies' separation from Britain and laid the foundation for what would become the United States. The Revolutionary War continued until 1783, when the Treaty of Paris was signed, recognizing the independence of the United States. So, modern day America, the United States has evolved pretty significantly since its founding in 1776, growing from 13 colonies into a vast and diverse nation of 50 states and various extranational territories. Modern day America is characterized by its economic power, cultural influence, and complex political landscape. Economic powerhouse. Without a doubt, the United States is the world's largest economy, driven by a diverse range of industries. Think about things like mining for resources, fossil fuels. The U.S. got it all. But also think about things like financing, manufacturing, agriculture, um, research and development. It's like anything you can think of, it does, and it does big. Like most of the big names from a lot of products or things you might have used are things like Apple, Windows, Microsoft. A lot of people use Amazon and its various derivatives, and they're playing a significant role in the shaping of the global economy. So the United States economy is characterized largely by innovation and entrepreneurship, with a strong emphasis on research and development. In Silicon Valley, in particularly, has become like a global hub for technology and innovation. I think probably more Texas and the Eastern Seaboard. What Silicon Valley is mainly known for is the tech giants that have come up ever since the early or late 1990s. And it's true that these tech giants wield a lot of economical influence and power, but I feel like it pales in comparison to everything else the United States is bringing. It's just what's the most trendy thing right now. However, economic disparities in the United States remain a pretty big issue. So think the wealth gap between rich, poor Americans, the wealth gap between states. There not really being a significant social safety net against the European countries. Um, no free healthcare. Really, by any metric other than economic and military, the United States, I find it kind of lackluster, and I feel like the United States could do better. It's just that they, for some reason, really enjoy having dysfunctional governments that waste their money on all sorts of shit, even though they could take the same amount of money, give it to some smart people, preferably elected ones, and have some pretty robust, very well-run government institutions that do the jobs they should be doing currently, except do it better. Which, yeah, Americans can be better than being privatized. There's a lot of European countries and people that will attest to things being better in European countries when a lot of things were run by government and not by businesses. But that's a whole other another issue to get into. So cultural influence, obviously, the United States. Well, everyone knows it. I know it. You know it. Probably most people around the world know it from things like Hollywood, movies, TV. Everyone has at least in one form or another consumed an American cultural product. Whether it's a YouTube video on your phone, even if you watch an Indian YouTube video on your phone, let's say you're watching a YouTube video in India on an Apple iPhone. So that's an American designed phone produced by an American company, sold to you, then you're consuming a bunch of American media on it. And even if the media is not outright American, at least the platforms of it that you're using them to watch are. So the United States population also having like a variety of different types of people groups all living together in relative peace and harmony obviously means that you have a lot of different ethnicities, a lot of different cultures, religious backgrounds that all come together to form this unique national identity, which is all based around being an American, which I find really cool. Like, let's say I'm a Caucasian guy. If I go to America, I can be friends with Asian dudes, black people, like everyone's there. Like, and you're all American, which in my opinion is the coolest bit. Like the United States, complain about it what you will. One thing it does do well is integration of its citizens. Like it works really hard to make Americans Americans. And I feel the cultural influence of the United States really helps with this. So the political landscape, the United States is federal republic, which means that the power doesn't really reside with its citizens. Rather, what happens is citizens elect elected officials, and the elected officials vote on behalf of these citizens. So the American political system, the choosing for presidents, us Europeans think it's like, oh, it's a done deal because Biden or Trump gets more votes, but it doesn't matter who gets the most votes in the national elections. The people that choose the person who wins are, I think, I forgot what the word is. I think it's like the electoral college. And these people, that they get voted in through, I think, the state election legislature mechanism. So you can already tell who's going to win American election by simply looking at which American presidential candidate has the most choosing guys. I forgot what the word for it is, but you'll probably get what I mean. So the American political landscape is kind of divided into two parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans are conservative. The Democrats are very liberal. But to an outsider, it's pretty much the same thing, different sauce. They're not really that different. At the end of the day, they all shake hands. They all know each other, both Democrats and Republicans. This is their job, you know. This is why you generally, regardless of who wins, you never really see that much change. Americans might think there's a lot of change going on, but like from the outside looking in, there really isn't. Even though generally, me personally, I'm very big on the Second Amendment, so I fall into the Republican camp, but it's only because they're pro-gun, which is the main thing I think they do well. That's a topic for another time. So in recent years, there's been growing concern about American democracy. I think the 2020 election, voting machines that might have been rigged, you know, and it's causing more and more divisions. This is raising certain questions about the integrity of the electoral process. I feel this is all kind of like a huge amount of horse shit. Just switch to paper ballots and accept the fact that it takes a while to get the votes done, especially because they don't really matter. So I don't get the sensationalism the United States is trying to get going on with all this stuff. So social movements and civil rights. Obviously, Martin Luther King, very famous person. You know, he wanted the same rights for Black people, which is fair. I believe in equal rights for everyone. So saying Black people are less valuable than white people is just crazy to me. It's funny to me that there's still people out there doing this, even though me personally, I'm very big no on immigration. Like, I don't see any reason why, like, this was an issue even back in the day, but good on him for getting equal rights for him and other African Americans. In more recent years, movements have popped up that try to sort of replicate the success of the movement, of the civil rights movement, but it just wasn't really there. Black Lives Matter was pretty much a known terrorist organization. They've instigated a lot of riots. They've done a lot of crime. They haven't really given a shit about Black lives, especially because the founders of the movement largely ended up collecting a ton of donations and pocketing the money to do dumb stuff with it. I feel like the Me Too movement is a little bit more justified in the sense that there's a lot of rape going on, or not really a lot of rape going on currently, but just always has been sort of. And yeah, I definitely feel women should feel safe enough to complain about it. Although I'm a big, like, even if it's hard, I'm a big proponent of doing it way sooner than later, because the longer you wait, just, you have to think about it like this, like the less evidence there will be, you know, and the sooner you speak up, like the bigger the chances that there might be other people currently who are feeling or have experienced similar things who can then, you know, back you up in your fight for justice. So there does need to be some form of an addressing of issues in the United States. I think the stuff that I wrote down here is kind of a little bit of liberal bull. I don't really think the United States really has problems with racial inequity, police brutality, or gender-based violence. I think the main issue is for instance, in regards to police brutality. The United States is a country where weapons is legal, which means that you should really follow police instructions when you receive them. I've seen people get into debate with cops over a variety of issues. That's all fine if you want to debate a cop. First, give him your fucking ID, give them your license, roll your stupid window all the way down. Then they take your license, they look at it, make sure you're not wanted, you haven't got any warrants. Then when they see you don't, they're going to probably ask you if you're armed or not. Then you say no, or maybe you say yes, you give them your weapons, and you're probably going to be fine. Like, if you have a problem with the conduct of a police officer, the best place to talk to them about it, or, you know, do anything about it, is in court, not on the side of the road when you're being pulled over. Let them do your job, let them do their job so you can continue on your way, kind of thing. So that's police brutality. What's the main cause of it in a nutshell? People just not giving the police their ID. They have the right to ask for it. You stupid idiots. You don't know your rights. And you don't even really have them, so shut the fuck up. It really frustrates me. Racial inequality, it really does not exist in the United States the way it does in other places. For instance, there's literal places in the world right now where having a different skin tone than whatever ethnicity is in charge of a nation will probably get you murdered. And in the United States, this just does not happen. The American government is multiracial. Its army, judiciary, its citizenry, it's all multiracial. So, like, in regards to racial inequality, I think if you're black and you apply for a 401k or like a pension or whatever, you'll get it, same as a white guy. It just all depends on how much you put in. So if you work harder than a white guy, you get more money. If a white guy works harder than you, he gets more money. So there's your racial inequality. Usually, yeah, white people tend to have sometimes better jobs, but I don't know, most white people I know are just really hardworking. So if black people want to get more money, work harder. It's like a fairly easy solution. Gender-based violence, I feel like that's fucking bull. As a man, I really hate that this feminist woke shit in regards to men supposedly, you know, like we're all roaming about trying to hurt the ladies. Ladies, I have a big shocker for you, but most men out there, they have a mom. They probably have a sister. Almost all of them have a grandma, probably two of them. And generally, most men love women. Like, most straight men love women. Like, obviously, I'm against rape, and I understand that it does happen. But, like, when a woman gets raped by a man, generally it's front page news. When y'all, you know, teacher ladies are molesting 13-year-old boys, it all suddenly becomes all hush hush because us dudes are like nice, like nice going kid. But, for some reason, whenever these types of situations, the shoes on the foot, we have to be like, oh, great cry for the woman. And like 90% of the time, you guys are fair, man. It's like, I get it. If something's legitimately been done to you and you feel like you should get justice for it, but like, I feel a little bit 10% of the times it's just a little bit of whining. Just because it's something women like to do. I'm sorry. If it hurts, but it's true, ladies. Y'all like to complain and whine. I have a girlfriend. She does it all the time. It's great. So global role. So the United States will continue to play a pretty significant role on the global stage as both a military superpower and a leader in international diplomacy and economics. The country is a founding member of organizations like the United Nations and NATO, and it keeps a vast network of alliances and partnerships all around the world, which means their power projection is way more solid than China's. However, the United States faces challenges in maintaining its global leadership position, particularly in the face of rising powers like China, things like the shifting geopolitical dynamics such as climate change, cybersecurity, global health, and international cooperation. So climate change, I feel like I believe in it 50-50%. I believe in climate change. Well, almost 90% of the things about climate change, one of the main issues I find is that a lot of scientists aren't willing to be open and honest about the solutions that are actually required to get anything going. And generally, liberal solutions aren't really solutions, as more or less they come up with ideas that I find to be giant money pits. Things like solar and wind over nuclear, these kinds of things. So, in conclusion, the United States is a nation with pretty interesting and rich history, very interesting present, to say the least. So, from humble origins to a small colonial state, to fighting over its independence, to its emergence as a global superpower, I feel the story of the United States is pretty fucking cool. And wondrous, and you should do more research on it of your own. Like, go watch in-depth American history videos. They're out there, and they're pretty amazing. Despite these challenges, the United States remains a beacon of democracy and a leader on the global stage. Its diverse population and commitment to pretty much global peace and security is one of the things that keeps driving its success. While its robust democratic institutions provide a foundation for addressing the complex issues of the 21st century as the nation moves forward. I'm very interested to see how the United States and the Americans in general are able to work together to hold up the values of freedom, justice, and equality for all. What was it? The right for all to pursue the right of happiness or whatever. I forgot what their founding thing is. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick video, and I'll see you next time.